What's good, Zelda fans? D-Rock here, and with the massive letdown of literally no news or updates to the sequel of Breath of the Wild at the Game Awards, there's still a lot of questions we the people and fans of this amazing series have about Breath of the Wild 2. Quite honestly speaking, from a fan's perspective, I think it's actually quite exciting how there's literally no leads as to what the plot might be, what characters will take the spotlight, as well as who the main villain's gonna be. Just the fact that there hasn't been any major leaks as of the creation of this video is, in itself, a massive win, I think. Now, although there's a lot of amazing theories floating around the community, that's all we really have to go on, which really isn't a bad thing, in my opinion. In fact, I think it would be wise for Nintendo to take the advice of the Zelda community more often. That being said, there is one thing that was confirmed about Breath of the Wild 2 though, and that was that the game will be a bit more on the darker side of things, which is something that I am extremely excited about, and that's kind of going to be the topic of this video. Let's have a conversation about why I think Breath of the Wild 2 should explore more of the demonic characters in order to add more of that dark vibe that Nintendo is looking for, and literally confirmed it will play a huge part in the sequel. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel for all things Zelda, and let's dive in. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 seemingly intends to be a darker look at the franchise, and I sort of touched on that earlier. The Legend of Zelda is no stranger to dark themes in general, thanks to the notable examples and fan favorites Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess, and quite honestly, I agree, they're two of the best. But I can't help but think just how far Nintendo will go this time around. Now, judging by what I've seen from the trailers that have been released up to this point, it seems very likely that the malice that we were introduced to in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is associated with Calamity Ganon, and that his army will be at the forefront of the sequel, or whatever they do decide to actually name the game, especially considering how little the Zelda community actually knows about this new creepy substance, even after Breath of the Wild's conclusion. The Malice's return in the sequel to Breath of the Wild's trailers, in my opinion, definitely suggests that there's much more to Malice than meets the eye, and what we've actually seen. Now, considering the Malice's relationship with Ganon, it's possible that it's demonic in nature, allowing demons to play a much bigger role in the Breath of the Wild sequel, as sort of a part of its dark vibe that Nintendo is going for. What's more, it seems like significant portions of the game might take place underground, potentially meaning Link will find a direct entrance to the demonic world. That makes Breath of the Wild 2 the perfect opportunity to explore demons in The Legend of Zelda and explore their origins. The Breath of the Wild sequel could be the perfect opportunity to actually visit the place where demons come from as a part of Link's newest journey to save Hyrule. Now, demons are fairly complicated creatures in the Zelda series. A lot of them are transformed beings rather than originally monstrous beings. An example here is Blind the Thief from A Link to the Past is supposedly a mortal transformed into a demon by the Dark World and his own greed. However, Skyward Sword suggests that there is a place where demons originally come from, or in this franchise. At the beginning of the game, you hear a legend about how Demise and his armies of demons emerge from the earth to attack the surface dwellers. In other words, it sounds like there's a subterranean place where the most powerful demons in Zelda lore come from. Although that place doesn't or hasn't shown up before, it could still be filled with monsters in Breath of the Wild's time period. Since it is known where the original demons came from in the world of The Legend of Zelda, Nintendo can take Breath of the Wild 2 as an opportunity to explore it, if that makes sense. Considering how the map has been expanded in the new game, it seems likely that demonic places await Link below Hyrule's surface. The sequel to Breath of the Wild famously features flying islands, but there are also signs that Link will be exploring caves and tunnels underground. Now, what's more, the Malice that has lifted Hyrule Castle into the sky could be indicative of Malice's wider presence underground, rather than just the result of Ganondorf's corpse emitting this fearsome substance. If gateways to a demonic realm hide in Hyrule's caves and grottos, then that would explain the overwhelming amount of malice that seems to be threatening Hyrule and the trailers that we've seen for Breath of the Wild 2. Now, there is a number of ways that the demon world could come into play in Breath of the Wild 2. For one thing, Breath of the Wild 2's second trailer did kind of hint that Link and Zelda might get separated again, and Malice might have something to do with it. Now, if Zelda is trapped by demonic minions, or if Ganondorf summoned through Malice, then Link might be tasked with seeking out entrances to the lair of demons by tracing the source of malice in Hyrule's underground. Breath of the Wild sequel's floating islands might contain weapons and knowledge that teach Link what he needs to know before delving into the holes that the floating islands left behind. A land that's full of caverns of demons could still play a part even if Ganondorf isn't working with these demons. After all, I remain hopeful that Demise will show up in Breath of the Wild 2, abandoning his heir Ganondorf and returning to full power. Demise's return would be the perfect chance to send Link on the offensive, crusading into Demise's underground kingdom and finally encountering the dark world that Demise comes from. Now at the same time, Ganondorf's potential redemption arc could be partially fueled by Ganondorf using his knowledge of demons and dark magic to guide Link toward Demise. Pretty sweet. Alternatively, it is possible that Link's ultimate objective might not lie inside the demon world. On the contrary, he might need to visit it in order to defeat the true evil that lives on Hyrule's surface. Bringing Hyrule Castle out of the sky might actually require Link to understand Malice better by visiting the demon world and learning more about the Legend of Zelda's magic, for instance. There's no doubt that Link might encounter forbidden secrets when exploring the places demons come from, and those secrets could be pivotal in saving Hyrule once and for all. Visiting the place that Demise and his followers came from in Skyward Sword would contribute a lot to the Legend of Zelda's overarching lore, I think. I mean, after all, it's really unclear if Demise came from a physical land beneath Hyrule, or if the underground sort of hides portals to an alternate dimension like the Twilight Realm that allows demons to slowly but continuously enter Hyrule. Now, if you're lore-minded, like a lot of the fans in the community, I think we would certainly appreciate some clarity on where beings like Demise and Girahim came from, and Breath of the Wild 2 has good causes to address that thanks to Malice, I think. Malice is very plausibly demonic in nature, considering the unnatural eyes and mouths that it spawns, indicating it's a thinking being in itself. The way it warps Calamity Ganon suggests that he isn't completely in control of the Malice either, which could very well mean that Malice is the escaping power of the demon world that hides below Link's feet. Breath of the Wild's Link has explored Hyrule's underground thoroughly by visiting ancient shrines, but he may have to push past the confines of the shrines in order to save Hyrule. Between the underground's potential presence, a new wave of Malice, and Breath of the Wild 2's potential antagonists, the demon world feels closer to the Legend of Zelda's heart than ever. Hey listen, thank you so much for watching, and an extra special thank you to my Patreon members as well as my members right here on YouTube who are helping support my channel independently despite the ups and downs of YouTube ad rates. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you. If you would like to help and support the channel in the same way, there is a link below this video in the description. So if you found value with this video today, then I would recommend checking out this video here for more Zelda content. That's all I have for now, my friend. Until next time, much peace and love. Be the light.